Now you may notice that we titled this particular lesson as First Impressions. And first impressions, as you know, are very, very important. And largely this is the role that the cover page plays in the model. It's the first thing that everyone sees. So it's really important that it's well put together and very, very intuitive. Now in this video, we're just going to put in place a couple connections that are needed on the cover page. Let's get started. Now a logical place for us to start might be on these hyperlinks on the left-hand side. So let's go to the first one. And a native Excel shortcut that can get us into a hyperlink is Control K, which brings up this dialog box. While we have it open, we're just going to check a couple of things. First of all, this is linked to a place in this document. In fact, cell A1 and right over here on the outputs page. So it looks like that one's working correctly. So now let's move down to inputs and hit Control K. And again, we're checking. Similarly, this is linked to cell A1, the inputs page, perfect. Now let's check the last one, Control K, and we can see it's also correctly linked to cell A1 over on the model tab. Let's close out of this dialog box. Now you may be wondering how it was that these hyperlinks were correctly linked, even though we just dropped the cover page in here. And the answer to that question is that the hyperlinks worked perfectly because the structure of the model was already in place. What this means is that if you have a hyperlink here for outputs, one for inputs, and one for model, then you want to make sure that those tabs are in place in the model first before you drop the cover page in that has the hyperlinks. If you do it in that order, they'll all be linked perfectly. The other little pro tip that we can provide with regards to hyperlinks is that watch what happens when we float over these with our mouse. We see the word outputs come up, inputs, and then model. You may be wondering how to get control over these little pop-ups. Let's take a look. In fact, if you were to drop in a brand new hyperlink and then hover over it just like this, instead of getting the word model, you may see a really, really long file path, which can be really nice if you know how to clean it up. Let's take a quick look at how to do that. So let's go into this first hyperlink here for outputs. We're going to hit Control K, and that little pop-up that we're seeing is actually over here. It's called a screen tip. And this is where we can control the text that is in there. If you were ever wondering, let's just escape out of this for now and continue on. So let's jump over to the model check now, right here. And we want to put in an equal sign, and we're going to link this all the way across to the revenue schedule. If we go to the bottom of the revenue schedule, we're going to see that there's the operational capacity check right here. We can link to this cell, hit enter, and we're set. What we can do now is auto color the sheet, which is Control-Alt-S, just like this. It doesn't look like anything's changed, but behind the scenes, this has changed to green. It's just getting overwritten by the conditional formatting. It might be nice to have these hyperlinks over here formatted in blue. So let's highlight them and just quickly use the blue-black toggle, Control semicolon, to put those into blue font. So well done. We put together a model so quickly using these techniques for Macabacus. Hope you can appreciate that it obviously took a little bit of time to prep everything, but once it was uploaded into that Macabacus library, it was so fast to insert schedules and connect them together. And this is really the whole point. We want to be able to invest a little bit of time up front and then be able to enable others to build models really, really quickly using these tools from Macabacus. We'd love for you to join us in the next video. We have some great tips on how to expand the number of schedules that you have in your library and also set them up and organize them so that the other team members will find them really, really easy to locate and insert into their models. We'll see you over there. We hope that you've become interested and intrigued with the idea of building up your own portfolio or collection of model schedules. One of the things that you're going to want to keep in mind as you start expanding that collection is how to organize it. And in this short little video, what we're going to do is discuss a recommended structure that you can use to group the model schedules into different folders or groupings that'll help yourself or help other people on your team find the schedules that they're looking for. Now let's kick things off by going up here into the Macabacus section of the ribbon and back under settings into the library manager. When this dialog box comes up, we're going to expand the personal library here. And then under tables, you would remember from the course that we put everything into one particular group called model schedules. As you can see here, we've created a number of other groups. If you want to create new groups, the way that you would do that is click on tables and then use this button here to click to create a new group. Let's close out of this dialog box for now and discuss the groupings that we would suggest. So we're going to go up into the Macabacus library now, just by clicking on this library button, and we're just going to click on tables. And you can see over on the right-hand side here, all of the different groups that we've created and that we'd like to discuss in this video to make sure that you understand how we've organized things. The first group that we've created here is capital structure. And what this really is a collection of debt and equity schedules. Essentially, the debt and the equity are the items that make up the company's capital structure, so we've put them all together in their own group. So now we can just click on capital structure to collapse that grouping and go down here to financial statements. And you can see that we've kept things really simple with just an income statement, cash flow statement, and balance sheet. And this makes up a really nice group for when it's required to put a set of financial statements into a financial model. So let's just collapse this section and take a look here at model inputs. One of the things that we always love to highlight in our courses is that not all model inputs are created equal. We like to always separate out the model drivers, and these are the inputs that have a significant impact on the valuation, and they're also difficult to control. These model drivers, we like to sensitize them by moving through a base, best, and worst case scenario. So we've broken out a schedule for model drivers and then other inputs. Next up, for the model output section, you can see that we've created one schedule showing a sensitivity analysis like we did in this course, and then a second schedule with a simple summary sheet. Next up, we can close this group down and take a look at the operational schedules. Essentially, we understand exactly what financial statements are. We also understand that the capital structure would have all the debt and the equity schedules, while the operational schedules are every other schedule that you would find in the model tab in a financial model. So these are the schedules that we build up in our operational modeling course. They help us understand the operational characteristics of a company. For instance, how does it generate revenue? How are its costs structured? Working capital calculations, depreciation schedule, asset schedule, and levered income taxes. As you can see down here, we've created a grouping called Other Schedules, and for now, we've just put our cover page in there. And finally, the last grouping for us to discuss is right here. The valuation schedules. Essentially here we have everything that we would need to value a company. The unlevered income taxes, an unlevered free cash flow schedule, and we have a DCF schedule for both the perpetuity and the multiple method. And these are all examples of schedules that we cover in depth in our DCF valuation course. And if you haven't checked out some of these other courses available at CFI, you definitely should. It will certainly help you build up a world-class collection of model schedules to facilitate your model building in the future. Now, in this course, you would have noticed that we used an annual model, but there are certainly quarterly models and even monthly models to consider. In the next video, we'll discuss periodicity and some of the things that you should think about as you're building up your own collection of model schedules. Now, obviously in this course, we used an annual model. And these are relatively straightforward, and they're quite common in the modeling community. But there's obviously also quarterly models and monthly models. So we wanted to discuss periodicity briefly here, since it's something that you'll need to consider when you're building up your collection of model schedules. One of the overriding principles that we often reinforce and repeat in our modeling courses is the idea that less is more, or keep it simple. And when we're talking about periodicity, what we want to do is always default to annual models unless there is a very compelling reason why a quarterly model would be needed or perhaps a monthly model. The advantage of annual models is that they're very, very simple, and they can allow you to focus on the things which are important in the project or the company. But sometimes there are compelling reasons why you absolutely need a quarterly model or a monthly model. Let's talk about some of those reasons. First of all, quarterly models are often necessary when you're tracking the performance of a public company. For example, in equity research, it's important to run quarterly models since you're trying to forecast quarterly EPS and cash flow estimates and match them to what the company is releasing each quarter. Or if you're working in financial planning and analysis, or FP&A, then you'll likely be using monthly models, where it's really important to have a granular look for budgeting and cash flow monitoring purposes. And these are a couple of examples of situations where it might be necessary to go to a quarterly model or a monthly model. Now, the primary difference between an annual, quarterly, and monthly model is mostly the labeling of the various periods, but there can be other differences and nuances in these models as well. Sometimes there are situations where the formulas will need to be changed. For example, let's imagine that you have a working capital schedule in an annual model and you convert it to quarterly. But what if the company's accounts receivable is longer than 31 days? Then you would need to modify the formulas in the working capital schedule. Another example could be an income tax schedule. The schedule may work properly when it's set up as an annual model, but when you convert it to monthly, then you'll need to think about the exact month when the tax payments are going to be due. So the key takeaway here is that the labeling is definitely different from annual to quarterly to monthly models. But sometimes there can be differences in formulas, and you'll need to think about those carefully when you're designing your model schedules for yourself or for your team. Now, there's really two ways that you could approach periodicity when it comes to building up a collection of model schedules. The first approach, which is quite simple, is just to provide annual templates for the people that are on your team. And then they could modify them and adjust them to be quarterly templates or monthly templates. The second approach would be to build up different groupings for annual and quarterly and monthly, and have collections of all these types of templates to make available to the other people that are on your model building team. In whatever approach you decide to take, it's just important that you think about and consider periodicity up front before you put together the structure of your collection of model schedules. Now, up until this point, we've been exclusively using the personal library in Macabacus, but in the next video, we're going to demonstrate the shared library, which is incredibly powerful because this is the library that enables you to upload schedules, publish them, and push them out across an entire organization to make them available to other people on your team. Creating personal libraries of model schedules is definitely something which can save you a lot of time. But creating a shared library and being able to push that out across your team or your entire organization can save incredible amounts of time and lead to really big efficiencies all the way across your team for all of the people involved with model building. Let's take a look at the shared libraries quickly in this video. Now, it's important to note that if you're working for an organization that has a number of Macabacus licenses, it could be that the cloud storage and the shared libraries have already been set up for you. Now, even if that's the case, you should stay with us for the short video as we'll do a quick demonstration of how you can configure a shared library and how it works for sharing different assets across your organization. Now, the first thing that you'll want to check is the cloud storage settings in Macabacus. So we can go up here to the Macabacus section of the ribbon under Settings and Configure. Down the left-hand side, you could click on Cloud Storage and it brings up this dialog box right here. Now, Macabacus has the ability to automatically detect OneDrive and Dropbox accounts. And in this example here, you can see it's correctly detected that we are using a corporate OneDrive account right here. And if our intention was to place the shared library inside this OneDrive location here, then we would be all set with these settings and there'd be nothing else for us to do at this point in time. The other thing to mention is that if Macabacus has automatically detected two different accounts here, then it will default to the first one in this list. If we would wish to use a different cloud storage location other than the first one in this list for automatic detection, then we would need to do a manual override. For instance, down here in manual override, we could put in this location for our Google Drive folder if we would like for the shared library to be placed in the Google Drive. So in this example, even though Macabacus has automatically detected our corporate OneDrive account, we have manually overridden it now, and it's going to go looking in our Google Drive in the Courses and Programs folder for our shared library. Now that we've completed the manual override, we can click the OK button, and we get this dialog about restarting, which we can also OK. Now that we've set up our cloud storage, we can create a shared library. Up to the Macabacus section of the ribbon, under Settings, let's click Library Manager, and down on the left-hand side, we're going to click here to create a new library. We can call this library Shared, and for the location, we're going to drop in a location that starts with our Cloud Sync folder, and then we've created a new folder underneath called Library. Let's click right here to create the shared library, and we get the positive confirmation that that's been done. Now we can close out of this dialog box. Now let's imagine that we want to start sharing model schedules with our team. We could select this cover page here, click on Macabacus, and back into the Library Manager. We can now see our shared library here. We go down to Tables and click on New Group. We might want to call this group Other Schedules, for example. Click OK. The group's been created. Then we click on the group and we say here, Publish to the group. And we're going to call this Cover Page, just like that. And we click Publish. We get a confirmation that's been added to the library. And now we can close this dialog box. So now that schedule has been published to the shared library, but now we need to do one last step, which we didn't do before, which is sharing it across our organization. In order to share the library, we go up here to the Macabacus section of the ribbon under Settings, and now we're going to go down right here and click on Share. This dialog box comes up. We want to make sure that Shared Libraries here is toggled on, and then we can click OK. The shared settings have now been published. We can click OK to this and close this dialog box. At this point in time, all other users across the organization have access to this cover page. For instance, if we were working in the organization in a blank spreadsheet like this, we could just pop up to the Macabacus section of the ribbon, into Library, click Tables, and now we would go into the shared library. Under Other Schedules, we would have the ability to right-click and insert the cover page, just like this. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the cloud storage or possibly the shared libraries may be something that has already been set up across your organization by your administrative or IT department. If that's the case, then definitely solicit their advice for how to get the sharing working for your modeling team. Either way, it's really important to get this sharing technology set up. It saves so much time to be able to put together model schedules and push them out across an entire organization for huge efficiency savings. Well done. You've done a great job in this course. In the next video, we're going to go through a quick summary just to wrap things up. Well done. We're so glad that you've invested the time to learn about building in a modular fashion. We were also so excited to share this material with you so you can understand how to use Macabacus to help you save so much time with your model builds in the future. As we mentioned earlier, if you're working for an organization, it could be that your admin or IT department has already set up and configured the cloud storage and also the shared libraries for you. And if that hasn't been set up for your organization, please be patient through the process. It may take a little time to get things configured, but then you're going to benefit from all the time savings that it brings when you're able to share assets like model schedules out across an entire team. Now, through the course, we've mostly focused on efficiency and the time that can be saved by pushing model schedules out across your entire organization. But it's also very helpful from a brand compliance perspective, because what we can do is we can always make sure to push out the right colors, the right fonts, the right borders, and the right formatting in general across the entire team. Please remember that we're always here to help. If you have any residual questions about cloud storage or sharing a library across an organization, please reach out to your Macabacus representative. Once again, we'd just like to say that we really enjoyed sharing this material with you. We hope that you found it helpful, and we really hope that you're going to have fun using Macabacus, and it's going to help you save a ton of time with your model building. Thanks once again for investing your time with us, and we hope to see you soon in the next Macabacus course. We'll see you there.